All right. Good. We should be good now. I got to keep the headphones on. Once again. This happens a lot, man. We'll get started. Yeah. We'll get started and then we'll have to pull back. It's like pretty common.
In the not so rough.
In the not so rough.
This is the second take.
Yeah. But man, so we were talking yesterday, and hopefully everybody knows who you are. You're Hans Comain. You're a seduction coach.
I'm a seducer.
A seducer.
I'm way more. It's very clear to me that I've been an artist first and foremost, the art of seduction. So I see myself as a seducer, but several people have turned to me as a teacher. So I've been coaching as well. But yeah.
What are the differences between seducer and teacher? Because I ride this fence too, you know.
Well, my focus has always been seduction and how I can find the seductive laws at the core of the approach, the dating, relationships, you know. And I see seduction as an art form, not a means to an end, you know. Seduction for many guys is a means to an end, a tool to get from the other what they covertly desire. But to me, it's the last frontier. It's an art form, the ultimate art form that deserves to be explored in and of itself, you know. And so, yeah, to me, the encounter with a beautiful woman, but also the way I relate to my people, my family, my friends, my community, that is a great stage on which I do my art of seduction. And yeah, so and then the teaching or the community building or the coaching or the helping has been a result of that rather than the other way around, you know.
Right. When you talk, because that makes me want to ask two things: what is art and what is seduction? So what is art?
It's good to say. When I think of art, I see something like the creation of beauty.
Right.
Which means to create something for the purpose of artistic pleasure.
Yeah.
You know? And so not with functionality in mind, not with, say, money in mind, but really like to have beauty in mind. And it's very much needed, you know, because nowadays we're very much focused on truth. And whereas before, beauty was a value as much as truth, you know. You saw it in the buildings. They were ornamental for just because it's beautiful. And now you see that way less. Everything is just simply laid out, functional. You see it in the buildings. And we crave it very much. We crave very much beauty. We crave art. And we crave seduction, which is an art form that creates beauty by means of making sure the other feels alive, feels seen, felt and heard on the one hand, and allows the other to dream, which is like, oh, there's something else here, you know? It's not just all in my face and I see it and I got it, it's truth. There's something else that's calling me, you know? And that's the art of seduction. When you do it well, the other feels seen, felt and heard. Oh, that person gets me. And that person also feels, wow, there is something else going on here. I could be caught up in something bigger, something beyond the right here and now and me. You know?
It's interesting because there's so much that I would want to say to that. There's so much, because when you're talking about, you know, art is the sensing of beauty and looking for those things, but it could be so many things as well as expression or there's a lot. But then also you come to this point that we don't live in art now, or we don't live in the sense of beauty. We live in the sense of functionality and pragmatism or truth or these different things. And we see this over and over again. When people are searching for feeling better about themselves, they search for truth, which is good. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's incomplete, I feel.
Totally. Like, truth is a great thing, you know, and the whole scientific world that we live in has advantages, you know. But I see the craving in people, and the craving of something else, the craving of beauty, you know, the craving of dreaming, you know, and they're valued way less. And but it's turning, because it's like you see it in everyone. They want it, they need it, you know. That's why we fall in love. That's why we love a song. You know, what is that?
Yeah. No, I hate to interrupt. It makes me want to bring this up, is that when we feel those things, a lot of people I see running from that. And it might just be my own tunnel vision, you know, my myopic kind of echo chamber of feedback loop, whatever, is that I see people be hurt by the curiosity, the wondering, the what ifs, the dream, the what pleasure gives them, and this need to control pleasure, you know, this absolute need to have power over it so that it cannot hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if that I don't know if that's a good reason to follow. You know,
well, do you ever think about this? That what pleasure does to a man, or woman, or whatever, what too much pleasure can do, is it can burn you. And one of the things, actually, I have this fan. I love it, man. I get emails from this guy, and he's Muslim, and he tells me all about these different, you know, alignments with the Quran and what I might be saying. And it's really cool to get emails from him. And one of the things that I think is that some of my, and I don't know, and I don't want to misrepresent anything, but I remember it being explained to me, even in Judaism too, is that the reason why the women will cover themselves is because men may get out of control by what a woman has, her hair, her beauty, her seductiveness. In Iran, they banned women from singing because it was too beautiful. And when it comes to that, it's like, oh, wow, man, I can get that. I can understand it. You know, a lot of people who may not understand Islam, which I'm not saying I do, but they're just highly judgmental over it. And when people get too much beauty, I think a lot of society, a lot of cultures bring that hurt together and get a collective on it.
Right.
And try and control that thing.
I never thought of it this way. Like I could resonate with too much pleasure, for example. That could be harmful. You know? I can't imagine too much beauty. You know, it's hard for me to. I mean, they're not.
But I think that's it. I think too much pleasure and being harmed by that results then in the attack of beauty. Huh. Do you ever think that?
I never. I mean, I do think in like the idea of like that there's a, without being conspiratory at all, but there's a danger that comes with real beauty and people like being caught up in that and being carried away, in the sense that for the establishment it could be dangerous, you know, and that it's easier to build community society on say truth and you know, things that are laid out right there that we have control over in a sense. But yeah, I only have a sense of like what beauty is and what beauty can do to us, and I do see a great lack of it, a great lack in or a yearning for it in people, you know, and that to me is beyond any doubt, you know?
Yeah. You know, I remember I used to have this client, he was a musician, and he said that human beings are the only human beings that create music. And I suppose birds do, or we don't really know the I guess, communication allure that other animals might have and so on. But it's such a big factor with humans to create something that spawns curiosity, but also makes us think deeply, that makes us want more, that makes us also in touch with ourselves. I think it's so attached to belief.
Like I 100%. Like I explore in my courses, for example, anger. And I have theories about it. I make videos about it. I have missions about it.
Right.
Discussions with people. And then, on the other hand, I make an album. My third album is an exploration of my anger. It's a metal album. It's a music, you know. And in some way, you know, all of that discussions, everything that I do, everything I write in the scientific way, it completely falls short, or it doesn't have the same effect as like one song on that album. That could like it alludes to something rather than putting it right in your face, you know. And when it alludes to something, it has a lot of inspirational power. It allows the other to learn in a different way than teaching. This is how it is. Yeah. And it's like a calling people forth, you know. And it has tremendous power to do that. You know, I look at that and I say, that's way more powerful than this, you know.
Yeah, actually, I want to talk to you about the different things you say about anger, because I've heard you bring this up before. But with anger, do you feel like what are some of the exercises? Why is this important for a man to come in contact
I think
with?
anger is a bigger taboo than sex. You know.
Wow. Yeah.
It's because of what men have done in the past.
Yeah.
You know, we've come to associate anger with aggression.
Yeah.
And anger, in my book, is how I look at it. Maybe people have different. It's just an emotion, just a feeling. It just is, like sadness is. You know, there's no right or wrong about it, but you can use that emotion for good or for bad.
Yeah.
Which is, I call it, for the sake of its analytical purposes, I say when you use it good, it's assertiveness. When you use it bad, it's aggression. You know, and aggression is bad. It's not being able to be aware of the feeling and use it. Whereas assertiveness is the opposite. You're very aware, you accept the emotion, and you use it for something good. Like, it's very close by when you're in a relationship, and I always say your relationship starts with your first disagreement. The quality of your relationship is not determined by the absence of disagreement, but how you deal with it. And anger is a great force in it. When a man is leading his relationship into glory, then becoming aware of when his borders are crossed, say, or when when he's angry, and then bring that to the other in a constructive way. Baby, I love you, and you deserve to know how I feel when you do this and this. I can't accept it, you know, and let's do this when this happens. So that's, for example, a very constructive way of using your anger for the enhancement of, say, your relationship. And you could do it in other ways. My anger inspired my album. It's beautiful, you know, and for a lot of men, they're so afraid of their anger, or they have a bad connotation with it, that they never really explore it, let alone accept it or use it constructively. And it's so needed for every man to be in touch with that, you know. I would say maybe it's the difference between a nice guy and a great guy, you know, that great guy is aware of that and uses that, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. What would be the core emotions that a man has? So this feeling of seduction is one to explore. This anger. What else do you work with?
Well, to me, they're a little different here. Like, I would say anger is a feeling, whereas seduction to me is a way
phenomenon
no, it's a way to move through life. It's an art form. That for me is the best way of looking at it, you know. And anger can be used I use anger all the time, you know, for my seduction, and it's very important. Like I always say, a woman is attracted to a man for his strengths, but she loves him for his weaknesses, and it's a lot of seduction thrives on energy, which is to me the juxtaposition between two different things. Say joy and anger. Say closeness and distance, and that like juxtaposition is essential. And this is very conceptual, maybe, but
no, I'm with you. This is stuff that I haven't thought about it in the way that you think about it, but I think about it all the time myself. One of the things that came to mind when you were talking about anger, man, there's really so much I want to jump on. I should have been taking notes, but I'm not that studious anyway. That's the problem with my conversations, is they wind off into some weird no man's land. But I was thinking, like, what happens when we don't use our anger and we repress it, or we don't think we can have it? It comes out in all these ways, because anger is aggression, is anger out of balance.
Yes.
From, I believe, how you're describing it.
Yes.
Anger in repression or being passive with your anger is anger out of balance. But anger is an emotion which happens and then can move off into the world and enter reality, is more of a healthy expression. And anger is something that I've dealt with all my life. I'm an angry person. So, but I get angry quick.
Yeah.
You know, I get angry fast. A lot of things make me mad. I've worked on it very much, but I don't stay mad anymore, or very little, very rarely. And I just see this whole grouping of men, women, people, our culture coming out of a repression of anger, and they're kind of jumping to these different ways where they can be angry. Yes. Whether that's in a relationship they want to be in, or whether that's in an online argument,
Yes.
whether that's in a debate. But we're so quick to it. Come on in.
Come in.
We got good stuff going on. Come on in, man. Join the discussion.
Hey.
Yeah.
Live and rolling.
We're talking about anger.
Go like this.
All right.
Oh, you want to come in? Go ahead and sit down. Let me get your mic set up.
Fucking angry.
Good.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah, it's all
Big
happening,
camera.
baby. Go ahead and take a seat here, and then Hans, I'm gonna have to reset figure out what's going on with the audio, but it should all work out. Some issue.
You got caught up?
Yeah, I didn't have an exact time on this deal, so I wasn't sure. Steve was confirming it. Steve
I'm
would actually
I'm
say 3. So.
Yeah, I'm retarded. If I made you mad, I'm sorry.
I'm fucking mad.
I'm the worst.
It was clear to me he would come at 3.